Hey there, and hello again from Dan the Healing Man. We're going to do a little one-off message here today, and what I want to talk to you about is meekness. In modern world, or if you go looking around at what meekness might mean in some of the Bible studies online, you'll find that more recently in time they've taken that word in the NIV and others, and they've made it into something along the line of gentleness or humility, or even the word poor in places. But I don't believe that's what it meant. When you go back to the time of Jesus, and even before that, the idea of meekness really meant incredible strength in the face of difficult circumstances. Yeah, it did. It was an amazing quality that warriors would like to have themselves described as. I mean, meek like a warrior that was humble? I don't think so. A warrior that was gentle? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. But a warrior that is incredibly strong in spite of the circumstances that the warrior finds themselves in. That is what I think meekness was meant. And so where we come across meekness is a lot of places. Meek as Moses, right? There's all sorts of places that we see it. What I wanted to focus on today was the idea that meekness will help us inherit the earth. In the fifth line of the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus tells us that blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Yeah, that's what it says. So what in the world are we talking about there? I mean, talk about mystical mumbo jumbo, right? We begin to think, what? That doesn't mean anything. He didn't say anything. I mean, blessed are the meek. I don't know what meek means. I'm not sure what blessed even means. And then inherit the earth. What are you gonna? I inherited the earth. It seems my God, my father died, and I packed the earth up in my suitcase, and I just took it on home. And I'm thinking about selling it. I really don't need another earth. You know, what in the world does it mean? Well, as we explore that text a little bit, what we end up with is the word blessed. Blessed can mean congratulations. So congratulations to the meek, so they will inherit the earth. And if we take it a little bit further, and we go to that word meek, and we give it a new definition. There's all sorts of ways to look at it. I'm not saying one's right or wrong, but for the ideas behind the Jesus strategy, we're going to think of meek as a radical acceptance of God's will in ours and other lives. A radical acceptance of God's will, a radical acceptance. And what I mean by that is we're going to move away from the idea that we're the only ones, or this something only affects me, or it's all about me and my feelings and my principles and all that self-referential junk that just gets in the way of how we relate to our world. And we're going to look out there and see there's billions, trillions, quintillions of things going on out there, just an incredible quantity of movement and change constantly going on. And that is God at work. And my immediate circumstances may be really mighty unpleasant to me, and I'm sure that's an understatement for some of us, but they are a part of that overall bunch of action that's going on. A radical acceptance of God's will. That's what we're talking about. Now, you might wonder, how do I do that in my circumstances? How do I actually become meek? Well, think about it. When things happen in our lives, we're often moved to react, right? And it may bring on bitterness or anger or resentment or bewilderment, desperation. And we want to act in those particular ways, but meekness is the ability to stand tall and stay in control of yourself by controlling your thoughts, staying in control of your thoughts in spite of any set of circumstances. In fact, we can even become, even though our circumstances are bad too, we can even become the messenger of God. We can let the Christ in us, as it is said. We can let the feeling in us, the desire in us to deliver to this world something better than the circumstances as they present themselves, flow through us. Seems lofty, right? How in the world do I do that? Have you been in my life, Dan? No, I haven't been in your life. I haven't. But I've been in my life, and I've certainly had days where I've been able to do that. Recently, I was down in Florida, in the devastated Florida Panhandle, just the day after Hurricane Michael, the strongest hurricane to hit the Florida Panhandle in meteorological history. And I, backed by thousands of people back home all across the United States, had the incredible privilege and opportunity to show up with a whole bunch of pasta. We called it the Panhandle Pasta Project. And I was able to, just me in a van showed up there, but thousands of people showed up there ultimately with their kind words and prayers and support. And we were able to feed people. That all sounds good, right? I went down there thinking we were going to be helping some people. I was sure we were, and I'll bet we did. But what I saw there, what I encountered was gratitude. What I encountered was strength, courage, faith, motivation, determination. What I encountered was meekness. Yeah, courage in the face of devastation. Gratitude inside of, in total destruction. Some of these people look like they've been sandblasted. They had incredible stories, not just a few of them. Over the course of 5 days, thousands of them. Thousands. And they fed me, and they fed me, and they fed me. I gave them a plate of pasta, but they fed me. They fed me with the incredible notion of what meekness really means. Strength, courage, determination, and faith in the face of really bad circumstances. Anybody who lives a modern Western life here in America would agree that what they had going on there qualifies as difficult. And that's just a disgusting understatement. Meekness. I found it there. And here's something incredible too. That someone can walk up to you and tell you their story. They had a story to tell. There's something natural in us when we come out of a disaster, and there's really three things we want to do. One is connect to the people we love right away. And unfortunately, there are people in the Florida Panhandle that are never, ever going to be found. And the other thing is we want to tell our story. We want to process these events that are just so amazing, you know, so amazing. And the third thing is we want some type of comfort. And I'm not talking about cable TV and a cell phone either. No, I'm talking about human contact. So we go down there and we'll be setting up our tents, and people come forward and they tell me their stories. And they'd be incredible stories about their houses disintegrating around them. Disintegrating. Can you imagine that? Are you sitting in a house right now watching this? Imagine that house disintegrating around you. The houses falling apart and then being left out 137-mile-an-hour sustained winds with stuff flying around everywhere. It challenges me upwardly in my devotion to Christ. Could I handle that? I mean, I want to say I would lean on Jesus under those circumstances. Difficult. And they stand in front of me, tears rolling down their faces in some cases, some laughing, some just deadpan. They're in shock. It's the day after. And we hand them a plate of spaghetti and they smile. And their whole countenance changes. And they move immediately to gratitude. Now, in our modern world, we love to say they lost everything. You know what they didn't lose? They didn't lose themselves. You can't take it from them. Their faith, their meekness held that together for them. Their belief in God, their ability to see a far bigger picture, their gratitude for this small token of comfort and companionship and warmth. Well, these folks prayed with me and shared with me their stories of incredible courage. And it's never, ever going to come out of the imprint of my mind what I learned there those 5 days. And that is meekness is a radical acceptance of God's will in your life, regardless of how horrifying the circumstances may be. Meekness, strength, courage. You did not see, if you were with me, you didn't encounter people that were weak. Meekness is not weakness. These people were not passive. They had not passively resigned to their circumstances. Oh, no. Make no mistake. They were a determined, faithful bunch, strong and ready to face the challenges ahead. They didn't think of themselves as victims. They called themselves survivors. Imagine that. Not victims, survivors. There are no victims in faith. There are only survivors. Think about that for a second. It's a whole other thing. But meekness is what I encountered there, not weakness. Incredible strength. Strength that I only hope I can have if I'm ever faced with circumstances as difficult as that. So when we come out into the Jesus strategy, this is my hope for you, is whatever philosophy out there or biblical teaching or theology or sect or denomination, organization, whatever, it doesn't really matter. What we want to take from meekness is the ability to inherit the earth. And what in the world does that mean? Inherit the Jesus? Jesus, hello, could you straighten that out for me? Well, this is what I think it means, and we're just talking about it relative to our thought lives, our cognitive lives. And that is to inherit the earth is in the midst of these circumstances, as we bring in a mindset of meekness, as we develop our own meekness, we see God's will playing out around us. God's will, I know, how could it be destructive? Where does happiness come from? Well, it does come from these things. But as God's will plays out around us and creates these very difficult circumstances, we gain knowledge and understanding beyond our natural, self-centered understanding. We inherit an incomplete understanding of how God's working in our life and in every life. We inherit knowledge of how the earth works, that we are all interconnected, that God is one thing. And the teachings of Jesus, when he says, congratulations to those that radically accept God's world, God's will, and God's way. Because what they inherit is an incomplete understanding that they can find comfort, that all things are working towards good. I know. There are days that's really difficult to wrap your mind around. You may be in a circumstance that's so hard you can't even imagine that. But there'll come a day that this set of circumstances will be in your past. And there will come a day that you can look back and realize that you met people you would have never met, that you made relationships that you would have never made, that you had experiences that unfortunately can come about no other way. That forgiveness, tolerance, patience, kindliness, compassion, love will manifest in those circumstances in some of the most profound ways. Meekness is a durable strength that endures all circumstances. Meekness. So congratulations to you if you can develop a frame of mind that allow you to remember that you are a child of God in all circumstances, and that understanding allows you to bring calmness and love and everything of the fruits into very difficult situations for other people. Because from that, you get a greater understanding of how it all works. Thank you for taking the time to listen a little bit about meekness. It's not a series, it's just one off. This is one of the strengths, one of the incredible powers that you can learn through the Jesus strategy. Have a great day.